He was strong.
He was always
when we
strong.
fought, he was strong. Like, he was strong. Leverage. Great with his leverage. Dude, the way he was able to manipulate positions.
People would stop saying that. He is not afraid of that guy. He's not afraid of anyone. He's not afraid to fight this guy. He's not.
On Box Blaze, we dive into recent comments made by Daniel Cormier, who has shared some honest advice for Tom Aspinall about potentially facing Jon Jones. Drawing from his own intense battles with Jones, Cormier suggests that stepping into the octagon with the former champion is far from easy. Cormier finds the current dynamic between Aspinall and Jones a bit puzzling. He explained that if he were offered the opportunity to fight Jones again, he'd demand a major payday, recognizing the high stakes and challenges involved. According to Cormier, Jon Jones doesn't seem to fear Aspinall. In his view, Jones likely sees him as just another fighter he can handle. Still, he admits that Jones understands the dangers Aspinall brings to the table and isn't underestimating him. Interestingly, Cormier also noted that when the initial betting lines were released, Jones was listed as the underdog, something rarely seen throughout his dominant career.
This whole Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones thing, for lack of a better word, is just weird. For me, it's just weird. Like, I don't get it. If I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be compensated. I want to say it. I want that few money. Jon Jones shooting straight. Because at the end of the day, guys, I will tell you, not afraid. Tom Aspinall to Jon Jones is just another guy that he would fight and that he believes he can beat. But what he does want is to get paid. And I think he recognizes the dangers in the fight. I mean, when this line opened, Jon Jones was an underdog. Jon Jones was the underdog. I don't even know if there's ever been a time in his career where someone has been favored to beat Jon Jones. And I think that concerns him.
Daniel Cormier also pointed out that Jon Jones seems to be mentally preparing fans for the final chapter of his career. According to Cormier, it looks like this could be one of Jones' last major appearances in the octagon. He doesn't believe Jones will continue fighting just for financial reasons, especially if things start to decline. When it comes to timing, Cormier suspects the UFC may already have plans in motion or are very close to locking something in. He emphasized that Jon should return to action sooner rather than later, since each passing month means he's aging while Tom Aspinall continues to improve and gain momentum.
If I was Jon Jones, I would do this earlier than later, because every month that passes, he just gets older, and Tom Aspinall gets better. So I would try to do this as soon as possible. I wouldn't want to wait till New York next year, where he's almost 38, 39 years old, with that kid just continuing to improve.
Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen has made a bold claim, saying with full confidence that the fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall is already locked in, right down to the specific date. Sonnen insists he's absolutely sure about it. He explained that while Jon Jones might tell the media he needs 4 months or say other things publicly, behind the scenes it's a different story. According to Sonnen, once Jones receives the official word and knows who he's facing, he agrees to the fight. That's just how Jon operates. No matter what he says in interviews, when it's time to compete, he shows up ready.
I am confident enough to tell you that that fight is done, though. That fight is agreed all the way down to the date. That I do have a confidence to tell you.
Jones said he needs 4 months. Now you're going to do it in...
I'm telling you, this Jon Jones business, Jones will say a lot of things to the media. When he gets that phone call, here's the guy you're fighting. Do you understand? Yes. And that is what he will...
Daniel Cormier was very clear in shutting down the idea that Jon Jones is afraid of Tom Aspinall, or anyone else, for that matter. He believes there's no fear involved, just a calculated effort by Jones to protect the legacy he's built over the years. Cormier explained that while most fighters eventually pass the torch to the next generation, Jon might take a different path. In his view, even if Jones does end up facing Aspinall, and there's some risk involved, it wouldn't damage his legacy considering everything he's already accomplished in the sport.
Jon Jones isn't afraid of Tom Aspinall. I wish people would stop saying that. He is not afraid of that guy. He's not afraid of anyone. He's not afraid to fight this guy. He's not. I think he's trying to be more strategic. I think he's trying to make sure his legacy stands. I don't know how it could ever be faded. I mean, we do have short memories, but could you ever forget what he did? I don't think him fighting Tom Aspinall with the potential that he would lose is a bad thing. But as most would expect him to win the fight. But at the end of the day, the old guard has to get passed through for the new guard to go, unless you don't play the sport by the way that everyone else does it. Everyone else does it that way. Maybe Jones will be different.
Cormier went on to say that he's not the type to let someone build their reputation by defeating him, pointing to Jon Jones as a perfect example. He recalled how Jones became a star by beating some of the biggest names in MMA history, including legends like Shogun Rua and Rampage Jackson, rising to elite status in just a few short years. He compared that journey to Michael Jordan's path to greatness, where Jordan had to battle and surpass powerhouse teams like the Pistons and Celtics before making his mark. According to Cormier, that's just how sports work. The next generation has to earn their spot by getting through the top-tier veterans.
I'm not here to run the risk of someone making a name off of me. Shogun had to fight Jon Jones back in the day. Rampage had to fight Jon Jones back in the day. Those guys were big names that fought him as the young guy that was the champion. And he made a name off of all those legends. So that by the time I got to him, he was a legend. He was a legend. Already in 2016, 15, he was already a legend in 5 years. But that was only because he had beaten all those great guys before. It really is the tale of sport, right? The tale of entertainment. Before Michael Jordan could become Michael Jordan, he had to go through the Detroit Pistons, who were winning in the 80s. He had to beat the Boston Celtics to get to the finals, who were going back and forth with the Lakers. The old guard has.
Daniel Cormier also took a moment to reflect on his own battles with Jon Jones, reminding fans that he was already 36 and 38 years old during their two clashes. Now, with Jones approaching a similar age, Cormier pointed out that the tables have turned, and it's Jones who's up against a younger, rising threat in Tom Aspinall. Cormier believes Aspinall could be one of the toughest challenges Jones has ever faced, not just because of his talent, but because heavyweight isn't even Jones's natural division. He added that if Jones steps into the cage weighing around 245 pounds, the fight becomes an even steeper test, highlighting just how demanding this potential matchup could be.
You know that the first time I fought Jon Jones, I was 36 years old. I was 36 years old the first time I fought Jon Jones. 36 and 38 the second time. He's now what, 37, 38 years old? I think that this kid is as dangerous for him as anyone he's ever been in there with, partly because that's not his weight class. He would fight Tom Aspinall better than him weighing 245 pounds.
Frank Mir also shared his thoughts, praising Tom Aspinall as an outstanding heavyweight with tremendous potential. Still, Mir came to Jon Jones' defense when it came to claims that Jones is dodging the fight. He argued that, after a long career spent taking on the toughest opponents, Jones has more than earned the right to be selective about who he faces next. Mir reminded fans not to overlook Jones' dominant track record. While he admitted that Aspinall's speed and sharp striking pose a real threat, he added that if Jones can get in close and make it a physical battle, he would still bet on Jones to come out victorious.
I think Aspinall's a phenomenal heavyweight. I think he's going to be there for a while. With Jon, it's hard for me to tell people. The guy has earned so much. I feel like sometimes people have such a short memory in our sport. The guy has been one of the most dominant fighters of all time. If he wants to pick and choose who he fights, at a certain point, he kind of earned the right to. But he faced criticism, I guess, from other people. But as far as it settles in my stomach, well, I get it because. Look how people are short memory with him right now. Oh, he's not the GOAT and he's dodging Tom. Like, man, this guy fought everybody. I don't count him out in a fight with Aspinall. I've trained with Jon. I know how he feels when he grabs a hold of you. I think Tom's hands could really be the X factor if we can catch him or not. Tom's striking is more powerful than a lot of the people and speed-wise in Jon's face. If Jon grabs him, though, I'm betting on Jon.
On the flip side, Colby Covington took a more critical stance toward Jon Jones, accusing him of steering clear of real threats like Tom Aspinall. According to Covington, Jones appears to be carefully selecting opponents where he holds a clear advantage, instead of stepping up to face the most dangerous contenders in the division. Covington pointed out that Jones avoided a showdown with Francis Ngannou for years and now seems to be doing the same with Aspinall. He criticized Jones for choosing to fight an aging and past-prime Stipe Miocic rather than testing himself against younger, more dangerous talent. Covington didn't mince words, calling Jones a coward and accusing him of avoiding the toughest fights.
Dude, Jon Jones is an absolute disgrace to this earth. He's a joke. I mean, yeah, you beat Stipe. Respect to Stipe first off, because he's a first responder and you know, he puts his life on the line for the people and for his community. So shout out to Stipe. He's, you know, the greatest heavyweight of all time, but he was past his time. He shouldn't even have been there, man. He knows he was old and he was just showing up for a paycheck. You know, that's not the Stipe of old, you know, that was in his prime anymore. So, you know, I don't think anything special with that performance. I think Jon needs to stop ducking Tom Aspinall, just like he ducked Ngannou. You know, he ducked Ngannou for years. Now he's ducking Aspinall. So he doesn't want to fight the guys he knows he's getting his ass whooped against. So I don't think anything special.
Daniel Cormier also shared some strategic advice regarding how Jon Jones could improve his chances against Tom Aspinall. He suggested that Jones might be more effective if he trimmed down to around 215 pounds, rather than competing at his current weight of 245. Cormier explained that Jones was at his sharpest when fighting at 205 pounds, where his speed, agility, and reflexes stood out. The added size, in his view, has slowed Jones down. As an example, he referenced Jones's bout against Cyril Gane, where the extra weight seemed to impact his movement and reduce the quick reactions that once defined his style inside the octagon.
I bet if he's weighing 215, he would fight Tom Aspinall better than him weighing 245 pounds. In his 205 frame, he could fight Tom Aspinall better than he'd fight him at that 250 because that's not his weight class. While he didn't last long with Cyril, he didn't look as fast. He carried more weight. Cyril just did some weird stuff. And Jon, you don't make mistakes.
Eddie Hall also weighed in on the potential showdown, expressing strong belief that Tom Aspinall would come out on top if he ever faced Jon Jones. While Hall acknowledged the legendary status Jones holds in MMA, he feels that Aspinall's explosive talent, quickness, and rising potential give him the edge in a head-to-head matchup.
Jon Jones or Tom Aspinall. So if you don't know MMA world, sorry to bore you, but Tom Aspinall is UFC's #1 right now. Jon Jones is, you know, he's seen as the best MMA fighter on the planet. Dana White's got a massive for him, says he's unbeatable. Honestly, I think if you put Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall in a room and said one man leaves, I think Tom Aspinall leaves that room. I genuinely do. I think, and I think Jon Jones, I mean, I can't badmouth the guy. He's got an amazing record, but he's definitely ducking Tom Aspinall, 100%. And I think he's even said he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall after his next fight. He's pretty much going to retire after this fight, so he's ducking Tom Aspinall.
Hall didn't stop there. He also criticized Jon Jones for appearing to avoid the matchup, suggesting that the hesitation might be a sign of fear. He emphasized that in combat sports, actions speak louder than words. Standing firm in his opinion, Hall said he truly believes that if Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall ever meet inside the octagon, Aspinall would walk away with the victory.
I mean, he can say what he wants, but actions speak louder than words. So, there we go. Anyway, to answer that question is Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is kicking Jon Jones.
Tom Aspinall has openly expressed his belief that Jon Jones is intentionally steering clear of a potential fight with him. While he acknowledges that Jones may be choosing matchups that are less risky, more profitable, and easier to manage at this stage of his career, Aspinall still feels that the UFC legend is actively avoiding him. Even though he understands the logic behind Jones's decisions, Aspinall remains firm in his view that he's being avoided.
Do you think Jon is ducking you?
Yes.
Was that
I
Tom?
do. I think I said, yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think that there's just an easier path for him, and I understand it. I do understand it completely. I understand that there's bigger fights out there for him with way less risk and way more money. I understand it, but in all honesty, do I think he's ducking me? Absolutely.
Israel Adesanya also shared his thoughts, pointing out that Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall are quite similar in terms of physical build, with Aspinall being slightly taller and a bit heavier. While Adesanya praised Aspinall's impressive speed for a heavyweight, he highlighted that Jones's dominant ground game could be a key factor and possibly tip the scales in Jones's favor. In the end, Adesanya said that only a head-to-head clash inside the octagon would truly determine who the better fighter is.
But he's the same height as me, if not an inch taller, but thick.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're a lot thicker than I would expect.
Yeah.
And the speed, that's the thing that I'm like, okay, that's the danger. But again, grappling, he's a black belt, but Jon is, it's different. Yeah. But I don't know, man. They got to fight. But if they don't ever fight, we'll never know.
Curtis Blaydes gave a slight edge to Tom Aspinall in a potential fight with Jon Jones, estimating a 55% chance in Aspinall's favor. However, he was quick to acknowledge that defeating someone like Jones is no easy task. Blaydes praised Jones for his well-rounded skill set and deep championship experience, noting that these qualities make him a constant danger in the cage and ensure that facing him is never a simple challenge for any opponent, including Aspinall.
I think Aspinall beats him.
Yeah, I would pick him. Like, I would go 55% him. Obviously, it's not gonna be a landslide. Like, we're going against Jon Jones. He's a legend. He's got all the weapons.
Aljamain Sterling called the potential matchup between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall a truly intriguing one, but he admitted it's hard to count Jones out. Sterling highlighted Jones's mental toughness and calculated fighting style as major strengths. While he gave credit to Aspinall's athleticism and skill, he warned that if Jones is able to land a takedown, the momentum of the fight could shift dramatically in his favor.
It's a very intriguing fight. If I had to put money on it, it'd be super hard for me to bet against a guy like Jones, just because I know the mindset that he comes in with. Not saying Aspinall couldn't get it done because of all those physical gifts that he has. The dog, betting against a guy like that, if he gets you on the ground, that's just a bad night.
Demetrius Johnson acknowledged Tom Aspinall's skills, but leaned toward Jon Jones coming out on top without much difficulty in a potential fight. He expressed more excitement about the prospect of Jones facing Aspinall rather than Alex Pereira, predicting that Jones would deliver a dominant performance. Johnson also pointed out that Aspinall's reported $30 million asking price could complicate the negotiations for the bout.
Jon Jones will smoke Tom Aspinall.
I don't know, man.
He'll smoke Tom Aspinall.
Tom Aspinall is athletic. I think Tom Aspinall will try to take the fight to Jon Jones. And it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'd rather see that fight over Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I would like to see that fight over Alex, but come on, man. Aspinall is a great fighter.
Yep.
He's a good champion.
Aspinall.
So I said Jon Jones will smoke Aspinall.
Yeah.
Smoke him.
I can't wait to see. I hope it happens. That's the fight that needs to happen. I think Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones needs to happen.
Why do you think there's so much friction there? Why do you think it's not happening? Why? Because we see so much.
I think Jon
on the
Jones
internet.
said he wants $30 million.
Patty Pimblett described a potential fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall as a must-watch event. While he expressed his support for Aspinall and hoped for his victory, Pimblett also recognized Jones's extraordinary fight IQ and tactical brilliance. He admitted that, given Jones's vast experience and strategic approach inside the cage, it's hard to bet against him in any matchup.
Do you think the Aspinall-Jones fight happens?
It's got to happen. I was sitting next to Tom the other week at the UFC in London and talking to him about it.
How do you think that plays out if they fight?
I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. The one thing I do think Jon Jones has got the best in the world and the best ever is his fight IQ. He has a perfect game plan to beat that person. As much as I love Tom and I want Tom to win, I couldn't pick against Jon Jones. It's just something I couldn't do.
Derek Lewis praised Tom Aspinall for his commitment and strong work ethic, recognizing his potential to lead the next wave of fighters. However, Lewis also noted that Jon Jones might be nearing the end of his legendary career and expressed hope that Jones would retire on a high note to preserve his legacy. Despite Jones's age, Lewis acknowledged that he still possesses the skill set to defeat even the toughest opponents, reinforcing his place as one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Aspinall is young, he's hungry. You have Jones, who is definitely at the end of his career, 38 years old. I don't need to see this because he's never been beaten. I want Jon Jones to retire unbeaten, and I want him to retire, and Aspinall goes on to be the next big thing. But Jon Jones, being the warrior that he says, pay me enough and I'm doing it. Aspinall wants it, and one of them has to lose that fight. And that's the one thing, you look at it and go, Aspinall's probably going to win. But then, if you ask me that, I say, no. We've said that so many times with Jon Jones, and it makes it look easy. He is the greatest of all time.
Stipe Miocic offered advice to Tom Aspinall, warning him not to let Jon Jones control the pace of the fight. Miocic emphasized that this advice isn't exclusive to Jones, but applies to all opponents. He explained that if a fighter allows their opponent to dictate the flow of the action, the fight is as good as lost, calling it the biggest mistake a fighter can make inside the octagon.
Francis, yeah, he's got great power. He's getting better every fight. With Jones, he's as good as one of the best of all time, if not the best of all time. He's just smart, real tricky, and
get booked with him and Jon Jones. What's the best advice you'd give Tom Aspinall?
Don't do what I did.
Avoid the liver shot.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? But I think Tommy, that guy, he's super tough, and he hits hard. He moves well. He's a big man. I think that he stays calm on the situation, and whatever happens, he just stays calm. I think he'll be fine. He picks his shots. He's smart what he does, and I think he'll do fine.
Miocic also praised Jon Jones as one of the greatest fighters to ever compete, emphasizing his tactical brilliance and unpredictable fighting style. He cautioned Aspinall to avoid making mistakes, such as taking damaging strikes like the liver punch Miocic himself endured. While he acknowledged Aspinall's strength, agility, and ability to remain calm under pressure, Miocic believes that if Aspinall stays composed, he has a strong chance of defeating Jones.
Jon Jones has taught us anything, you can never count him out. You never count him out no matter what the challenge is, no matter what. He's always risen to the occasion and risen to that challenge and perform exponentially. So I think that it'll be a good fight. I believe it'll be a good fight. I believe it'll probably be one of the harder fights and harder challenges that Jon has had in his career. So, it's all about if he wants to challenge himself like that.
Jamal Hill recognized Jon Jones's legacy of taking on top-tier competition, acknowledging that a fight with Tom Aspinall would be one of his toughest challenges to date. While Hill expressed excitement about the potential matchup, he emphasized that the outcome will largely depend on whether Jones is truly looking for one final, significant test before the end of his career.
Versus Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones is the GOAT in my book. He's one of the best. And I recently saw Aspinall fight for the first time recently, and he's a great fighter, and he's a great champion. But I think it'll be tough for me to ever say that anybody will beat Jon Jones until it happens.
Tom Aspinall's father stated that if Jon Jones isn't interested in defending the title, he should vacate it. He emphasized that Tom isn't worried about facing Jones, viewing him simply as another fighter in the gym, someone insignificant who isn't worth getting worked up over.
He doesn't want to fight for the belt, vacate it, and he's not bothered about Jon Jones. Tom's not bothered if he fights. Jon Jones is just another body in the gym, another bum in the shower, they say. It just is. He just wants to compete. He's a competitor.
What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button if